Proclamation takes effect, January 1st, 1863, is also the same day that the Homestead Act takes effect. The Homestead Act is a thing that is seeking to move, encourage people to move west. You guys know, we were all on the eastern seaboard. We got all this new tier, Northwest Ordinance, we got this, all this stuff. And so it's called the Homestead Act. It initially was 640 acres. That's places like Washington, Oregon. There's 320, and it goes down a little bit, then we're down to 160, 80. And by the time it got to talking about African Americans, the division of that was 40 acres and a mule. So many African Americans to this day talk about that as this missed opportunity. You guys may know even Spike Lee's film company is called 40 Acres and a Mule. The notion that we didn't get that. So we did actually get 40 Acres and a Mule for a second. It's called the Port Royal Experiment. It's Port Royal, South Carolina. So in 1863, right after the Homestead Act, the Union soldiers had Port Royal, South Carolina, and they decided to, in essence, give these African Americans who had been formerly enslaved the plots so that they would be able to live for themselves, do everything else, you know? But when the Union soldiers kind of realized that they were empowering these black people, this is the Union soldiers, not the Confederate soldiers, they turned their backs and allowed the Confederates to come in and ransack the whole thing. Okay? After that, Lincoln is like, I'm not going to do 40 acres and a mule because what had happened there in Port Royal. So it never happens. Other than a Port Royal experiment, it never happens. Now, you guys just went to the Buxton settlement. Hopefully you guys got the understanding. The white Presbyterian minister named William King who comes to this area and decides that he believes that these people can do just as well as anybody else if given the same opportunity. And you guys know, as opposed to 40 acres, how many acres was Buxton? 50 acres. Your plot was 50 acres. So, give you some numbers. So I want you to take, right now, an acre of land in this area, agricultural land, goes for about $40,000 an acre. The Prince family, who was really, you guys didn't see him, but Solomon, the kid who was there, all that stuff is really the Prince family. It's Shannon Prince and her kids and Solomon's dad, but his grandparents are the Prince family, and they've been there for 8 generations. They own 1,500 acres now. Multiply 1,500 by 40,000. 1,500 by 40,000. $60 million. How much is that? $60 million. This free and clear, this family that got the initial 50 acres has right now. And it's worth $60 million. You guys look around, and maybe there's not as many over here, but when we were back in Buxton, there were a whole bunch of windmills everywhere. Windmills. They get paid $40,000 a year for each windmill on their property. $40,000 a year. Everybody, they have 40 windmills on their property. Multiply 40 times 40,000. No? How much is that? 1,600,000. Yeah, $1.6 million in annual passive income. That means they don't have to do a thing. If they just sit there and did not even farm an acre, they would have the equity in the acreage that they have, and they get $1.6 million a year in what we call passive income. Yes, somebody's asking a question back there? They pay property taxes. It's on the assessed value, but it's something. But listen, I'd rather half the property be paying the taxes on. You know what I mean? Let's not get silly here, you guys. Okay? That's a burden to have, right? I got some property tax because I got some property. All right? So yeah, there's property tax here, but you get the point I'm making. They've got $60 million, give or take property tax, but they've got $60 million in assets, all free and clear, and $1.6 million in annual revenue that they don't have to work for. The corn that they do graze goes to Jim Beam. Jim Beam liquor, that's where that goes, and the other part of the corn goes off to China. The soy that they have goes directly across. If where we were at, where the buses were parked, if we'd have kept going down, only about 2 miles. That's Lake Erie. Literally, just 2 miles away. And they can put the stuff on there and go directly to Cleveland. They can get to Cleveland in something like 2 hours.
Wow.
So when we think about what black Americans did not get, remember we were talking with Jaman, and he's talking about the differences between if you get a home loan and if you don't get a home loan? If I give you, whites got the Homestead Act. So if I give you 40 acres in 1863, they were getting more because whites could get, I started off 640, then it's down to 320, that thing. If I give you that, everybody here, and I don't give you anything, in 10 years, who do you think is going to be more wealthy? In 100 years, who do you think is going to be more wealthy? This is a specific policy where black people were excluded and you rewarded another group of people. And you rewarded them with land and gave them the keys to wealth. And another group of people you did not give those same keys to. And then people wonder, well, why don't black people have this, or why don't black people have this? Because nobody gave me 640 acres for free, 320 acres in LA or something. You guys get where I'm coming from? None of that stuff. So it's, you look at it and you can realize that certain things that you see today are patterns that come from disparate policies. Once again, not just some guy named Bubba who wants to be a RA racist. No, but a specific policy of the federal government that privileges one group in the biggest way possible, the biggest wealth gathering thing that you could have. Once again, owning land, and doesn't give to the other group. And like I said, then you just come up 60 years later and ask questions like, is something wrong with those people? No. You know? And this shows you, that's the Prince family, that's how many acres they have now. Because why? Because after a while, somebody else wants to sell, we'll take that. You know? Some of the other families, of course, they're like, I don't want to be a farmer anymore. I'm done with this. I'm done. Solomon's dad, his name is Chris. So like I said, known him since he was Solomon's age. He originally goes off to college at York University. He's doing IT and graphics and stuff. Gets a job working for some company. And he's out here just working. And at a certain point, bing, the light bulb goes on. Why are you here working for somebody else? You got 1,500 acres down here that you can go and do your thing. Start your house, do everything. Because Chris owns 400 acres. So right across from where you guys ate at, there was a house across there that's Chris and Amy's house. And it says Kayla Farms, this other little boutique farm, because they're trying to move towards non-pesticides and stuff like that. So they have an experimental little farm. Usually I take a bunch of people over there to see all the different things they're experimenting with so that you can like not have pesticides, so you can use, you know, some other natural thing. But the dude wakes up one day and says, why am I chasing this rat race stuff and I have wealth back home? You know, just that's stupid, you know, but we're so caught up in, and he got this $60,000 a year job straight out of, you know, college. And dude, you got a whole farm. And he was gonna come and visit us, but he was out there on the tractor doing his, like his mother and them own 1,500, and he doesn't own full and free and clear his 420 something that he has yet. He owns about half of those free and clear, and the rest of them he has a mortgage on. And the other ones he rents out to other farmers too, because he has that ability. So Jaman talked about how it works in an urban space, and we're talking about in the 1900s, and I'm talking about how it worked in a rural kind of space, an agricultural space in the 1800s, where the biggest land giveaway in American history occurred, and all kinds of people, simply because of their race, were excluded. All right? So just something, just, you know, when you ask the question, what would have happened? It's a possibility, and you have an experiment that you can see what happened. Look at it, feel it, everything. All right? So any other questions about Buxton or anything like that? All right, y'all. We got the next one.